don't know if we're live yet. It might be.
It says webinar is now streaming live on Facebook.
Heavens. Can you just jump into the group and have a look, man? I think we're live. So
I think we are. Let's see. Yep, we are.
Are we there? We're good.
Yeah.
Cool. So a little quick introduction. What we want to talk about today are the common mindset problems that many new and fresh entrepreneurs have. So obviously, if you're new to this group, the free and the Freedom Through Advertising free Facebook group, if you're new to this group, welcome. Good to have you. We're going to talk about a very crucial topic to anybody who's just getting into the world of entrepreneurship, whether you're starting a dropshipping business, whether you're trying to write a blog, whether you're trying to launch an online English speaking school, or whether you're trying to do my personal favorite, and that is start a digital advertising business. Doesn't matter which one you're trying to do. This video is for you if ever you have felt like you can't do something, or you just can't quite bring yourself to take that first step. And really, what are the kind of main problems, or the main problem that we see entrepreneurs in any area struggle with is mindset, right? Anthony, I'm going to interview you.
Yeah, definitely.
Client Success Director. Mindset, give me something. Give me some love. What are the big problems and challenges that we see, not just our students, but people all over the world who are trying to get into entrepreneurship? What are the big challenges that we see?
One of the biggest things we see is imposter syndrome.
Ooh.
That's a huge one, because a lot of people come in, not just into our program, but just like you pointed out, a couple of different things that people do to try and make money so they can have this lifestyle. Yeah, go ahead.
What is imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so essentially what it is if someone who has imposter syndrome thinks that they're not good enough or capable enough of doing whatever it is they want to do. So they think if they're showing up, for instance, like in a digital advertising business, they think they can't get clients because they don't have the abilities or the skills to be able to do that. Or they don't have the ability to learn to be able to do that, right? So of course, in our program, we teach people how to do it. We give them step-by-step, ABC, XYZ, 1, 2, 3, everything to be able to do that. So they don't have to have that fear. But more importantly, though, people still run into these situations where they have these conversations with prospects, or if they're starting a drop shipping business or whatever it may be, they're worried that they're not going to be able to do the thing they need to do, or they're like jumping ahead of the curve. That's really what imposter syndrome is.
We're worrying about a problem that hasn't yet arisen.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So step-by-step problem solving naturally is what we try and help people to do. But yeah, imposter syndrome is a massive one. We see it very commonly. We've got 300 and something students in the program now. Very, very common. There will be some people watching this video who are in the program who, on a Q&A yesterday, there was a couple of questions asked, private Q&A for the students. There was a couple of questions asked that kind of related to this. You're asking me to do X when, I don't feel ready to do X or Y. So let's expand a little bit on that. How do you overcome imposter syndrome? So let's say you're starting a business, like I'm sure a lot of people here are thinking about starting a business, but you don't feel like you actually have the knowledge, the confidence, the skills needed to actually do it. How do you overcome that feeling?
Well, the first thing that's worked for me is environment, right? So it's like being around other people who are just like you, exactly where you are, so you may think you have imposter syndrome, but in reality, you're all at the same level, but you're all serving at the same level, right? And you're all serving other clients, and you're able to have these conversations with people, to be able to prove that you can actually serve people and help them. Because ultimately, that's what we do whenever we have a business in general, right? Digital advertising business, landscaping business, a realtor business, like anything, any type of business is about serving other people, right? And so like anyone who steps into a new job feels imposter syndrome. Anytime they start something new, they feel imposter syndrome. What I like to do is actually like reverse it on people and say, look, someone who's making 100,000 a month or $1 million a month with whatever business they have still feels some sort of imposter syndrome every time they're trying to get to another level. So when someone takes a leap to start a new business, they feel that sort of imposter syndrome, or they're trying to expand or grow or anything. It's like anyone who's trying to like start a new fitness regimen, right? There's that fear base that's keeping you there. You don't feel like you can do it, but all it takes is stepping in, taking one step after the next, and feeling that. Because everyone I think what happens for a lot of people is when they know that other people also feel imposter syndrome, it actually alleviates it. They're like, oh, I'm not alone in this. You know what I mean? You actually feel better about it. And when you can bounce this idea off others and be like, oh, it's really not so bad. I can actually do this. I see other people who are just like me doing it. Like, for instance, we have a lot of teachers who come into our program, right? Teachers who are living abroad. And they feel this sense of imposter syndrome because they are jumping into a business that is something they've never even experienced before. They didn't even know it really existed before, right? And now they hear about it and they come in, and it's like they feel this imposter syndrome because it's something they've never done before. When in reality, what we're teaching them is you find a business that has a problem and you give them a solution that helps them to solve the problem, right? A teacher essentially is doing that in their classroom, right? They're coming up with a plan for their students to help their students learn X, Y, and Z. That's essentially what they're doing, right? And it's very parallel to someone who has a business and they are trying to help them achieve a certain destination, which is what we teach. But the idea is that imposter syndrome can hit to everyone at any stage. Like, James, I'm sure you feel it every once in a while.
Man, yeah. I had it at my first 5K month and at 5K. I had it at my first 5-figure month and at my first 6-figure month. Both times. And it's the best way I found to overcome it. So it kind of just makes me feel, speaking from personal experience, a little bit like you don't deserve to be there. And it doesn't matter what people tell you around you. This is kind of probably a little bit different, a little bit different to what people experience when they're first getting started. But just so you know, it happens to everybody. It doesn't matter where you are on the scale. Yeah. It can affect everybody. Now, the best way that I found to work through imposter syndrome is to take every day one at a time. So imposter syndrome eventually inevitably kind of just leaves you looking at the bigger picture too much and worrying about where you're going. And when you get further than where you are now, what the hell are you going to feel like then? Right? So rather than thinking about the big picture and how, I don't necessarily deserve what we've got, and that's just a natural thought process, and it's really weird, and it was brand new for me. I had no idea it even existed until it actually happened. And the only way that you can actually work through it is by taking one day at a time and focusing on the activity that I have to do today to continue working towards my goal, and making sure that you do it every single day, regardless of how you feel. You can't let anything, imposter syndrome, whatever it happens to be. This video should be titled Imposter Syndrome, funnily enough. But yeah, it's very easy to kind of let it get in the way. But like the last thing, I wish there was a magic pill, and I wish there was a magic formula to just say, oh, do this and everything will be fine. And the magic pill for it is to just simply get what you have to do done one day at a time and not worry about the big picture too much in the beginning stages. So let's bring it back to where people are in the beginning of their journey. My advice, I don't know whether you've got anything to add to this, Anthony, but my advice for anybody kind of feeling like, you started a business, don't matter what business it is, you started a business and maybe you're getting some kind of traction, maybe you're not getting any traction at all, yet you still feel like you don't deserve to be there, or you don't quite know everything that you need to know to make this new venture successful. My advice is to do the small things every single day that you're instructed to do. Hopefully you've got a mentor of some sort, or some kind of framework to follow. Do the things that you're instructed to do every single day. Do them because, especially if you're listening to somebody who's already done it before, those things are there, they're in place for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my experience of coaching other people. And I'm sure any other mentor would say the same thing. Make sure you're doing in our case, a daily workflow every single day.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Whether you feel it or not. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. The key is anytime someone faces imposter syndrome, the key is to they're all at that point when you feel that, the idea is to get out of your own head, right? And basically what that means is to stop overthinking and to look at exactly what you need to do, which is exactly what you said, right? In our case, we set up, like with our students, to have a daily workflow. Anyone who's running a business should have some sort of agenda that they're going to follow to the T every day, even when things aren't like, it's not your best day, right? There are some days where you just either you don't feel like doing something, or the day it's just everything's like coming at you and it's not like the best day. Other days you're on fire and that's great, and you can attack everything like perfectly. Other days it's not, but when it's there, it at least allows you to get out of your own head, because when you're having a bad day, you can very easily tell yourself, oh, is this what I should be doing? Am I even like good enough to be doing this? These are the kind of thoughts that imposter syndrome has. Am I capable of doing this? Should I even be doing this? I feel like a fraud. Look at these other people who are more successful than me that are doing it. I'm not doing that, or whatever. That doesn't mean you can't do that. It means eventually you get to that stage, but what that means is you just have to do this. Like it's instead of being all out here, it's to bring it back into this and follow, just like you said, James.
Yeah.
Step 1, 2, 3. That's what.
Put the blinkers on.
That's it.
Stop with the peripheral vision, checking out what everybody else is doing, how much better than you they look, and focus on the next step in front of you. That's the best way, because it may take some people longer than others to overcome imposter syndrome. But put it this way, if you let imposter syndrome get on top of you, you'll forget that you even have to take any steps whatsoever. You'll do anything that you possibly can to move away from taking that first step or taking those first few steps. But once you've got to a point where you've taken, there's no like numerical digit for it, obviously. But let's say, once you've taken the first, let's say you take one step every day, one small step every day. But on that actual day that you take that one step, it doesn't necessarily feel like you've moved any closer to your goal. Yet compounded over time, that one small step every day over the next 7, 14, 28, 105 days, that small step adds up and adds up and adds up. And eventually, this is just going to be like my saying, eventually everybody sucks when they first get started. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what business you're trying to start, doesn't matter what sport you're trying to learn, what language you're trying to learn. It doesn't matter. This context applies to everybody for everything. And don't ever forget this. In the beginning, you'll suck at everything. And that's fine. That's normal. It's good. It's good that you suck. It's normal. But eventually, you'll suck so little, you'll actually be good. If you keep putting one foot in front of the other, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, hopefully by, in our program, day 30, I guess, is probably the average when people start from actually implementing what we teach. Probably day 30 is when people start to feel on average like they actually know what they're doing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Probably not until day 60 or even day 90 do they actually feel really confident in what they're doing. Bearing in mind, we're talking about from the time they actually implement what we teach and not just watch a video. Like a lot of times when I've been in other programs as well as looking at our program too, and people think they can watch a video and everything just happens. That's obviously not the case. The most important thing is the one small step every day, compounded over time, eventually will lead to you, 1, knowing what you're talking about, 2, feeling like you know what you're talking about, and 3, results and the goal that you're trying to achieve. Anything to add?
Yeah, just to finish that up, basically what you said was, it's not just about watching the videos. It's not just about learning and consuming. It's about taking action and implementing. And that's how we gain more knowledge, right? We gain more knowledge, not just by learning, but by actually taking action, right? And implementing teaches us what we need to know. And so that way, like you said, over time, you suck a little bit less and you suck a little bit less. And then all of a sudden you suck a little bit, right? And that only comes with taking action in whatever business anyone is doing, right? Like you said in the beginning, when they have no knowledge and no information about anything, it can be very difficult. But over time, step by step, all of a sudden you find day 30, day 60, day 90, people have a ton of knowledge, and then their life is ultimately transformed. That's really the best part. That's really what lights us up whenever we see people doing that, because you see how they are when they come in day 1 and how they are, 3, 4, 5, 8 weeks later.
Just to kind of wrap up this video so we're not, it doesn't go on too long. What would you say to somebody who is worried about making mistakes? Doesn't matter what they're doing in what business, they're kind of frozen with a fear that something they do won't be done right, and that they're going to have to, you know, they've got a plan to follow, and not everything's not going to plan. Which, if anybody who's watching, or you, Anthony, can remember the last time you made a plan and everything went to plan, doesn't happen. A plan is a guide, and it needs reassessing each time. So what would you say to somebody who's maybe worried about taking action because they're worried about doing something wrong? What's the advice to that person?
I would say don't be afraid to make mistakes, because you are going to make mistakes. That's how you learn.
Mistakes are good. Mistakes are good. Action and progress.
I mean, there's no basketball player who has made every single shot in their life. Michael Jordan never made every single shot in his life. He missed plenty of major shots. People remember the games that he won.
Break that down further.
Yeah.
So like Michael Jordan, who in his career has probably taken millions of throws right from the first time he ever threw a basketball.
Exactly. I mean,
what's the percentage of basketballs that have gone in versus basketballs that haven't? I'd probably say 10%, probably 5% of his whole life, his whole career ever, from the moment he picked up a basketball to where he is now. I'd probably say you're lucky if 5% of those have gone in.
Exactly. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it is. And no player was ever going to achieve something unless they took the shot, knowing that there's a chance that it's going to miss, right? And if it misses, what do? They learn from it, right? They review game film. They go and talk to the coaches. They figure out, what did I do wrong? How can I make this better? And then they come back and attack it further. They don't give up. That's all it is. You know, everyone makes mistakes. Even the best people in the world, the best businessmen in the world, they've all made mistakes. And it's not going to kill you. Everything is just a learning process, and step by step. And yes, in the beginning, it takes time to really soak that in and have that mindset, right? But very quickly, all you know is that you take it step by step, and you just keep doing it, and just don't let fear filter.
Best bet ever. Take the shot. Who cares if it misses? In fact, good if it misses, because it means you're going to learn where the actual hoop is. So I think we leave that there, because we've probably been on about 20 minutes or so now already. Don't be scared to take the shot. Take the shot, take action, do something. Good things will come. They might not come overnight. In fact, they won't come overnight. But small action, simple steps every day, compounded over time, lead to success.
Yeah.
That's really the secret. The secret is to take action. Doesn't matter whether you get it wrong. If you get it wrong, get back up and try again. If you get it wrong and you stay down, you're never going to succeed. Frankly, you don't deserve to win if you don't get back up. All right, take a shot. You'll miss. Pick the ball back up. Go again. Peace out, everyone.